When Thousand Pound Sisters first hit TLC's lineup in 2020, it wasn't just another reality show. It was a raw, unfiltered look into the lives of Amy and Tammy Slaton, two sisters from Dixon, Kentucky, who carried not only the weight of their bodies, but also the weight of expectation, ridicule, and survival. The title alone was provocative, and it sparked curiosity across social media. But what made the show endure wasn't shock value. It was heart, chaos, and a type of brutal honesty rarely seen on television. Before TLC cameras arrived, the Slaton sisters were already minor internet celebrities. On YouTube, their quirky makeup tutorials and candid vlogs and sometimes messy personalities drew both fans and critics. Their openness about their weight, about struggling to breathe after simple tasks, about food addiction made them impossible to ignore. The internet could be cruel, but it could also be strangely supportive. And that duality carried them into mainstream television. When 1,000 Pound Sisters premiered, the hook was simple, but dramatic. Could Amy and Tammy lose enough weight to qualify for bariatric surgery, and could they survive the journey? But the show quickly became more than a weight loss program. It was a window into a family where bonds were tested, broken, and rebuilt under the harsh glare of public attention. Every tear shed in frustration, every laugh during a family outing, every doctor's appointment filled with dire warnings, it all became part of a televised saga that viewers couldn't look away from. Amy, the younger sister, dreamed of motherhood. Her weight loss journey wasn't just about her health. It was about proving she could carry a child safely. Tammy, on the other hand, was often portrayed as the more resistant sister. Combative, skeptical of change, sometimes self-sabotaging. But for every argument and every setback, there was also resilience. The Slaton family, including siblings Chris, Amanda, Misty, and Brittany by marriage, rallied around the sisters in their own messy, dysfunctional way, creating a rotating cast of characters that kept fans invested. As the seasons progressed, the stakes grew higher. Amy achieved her dream of becoming a mother, giving birth to two sons. Tammy faced terrifying hospitalizations, at one point placed in a medically induced coma due to her declining health. And yet, time and time again, she fought her way back. Their triumphs and failures unfolded against a backdrop of Southern small-town life. Dollar General runs, backyard cookouts, and hospital corridors, grounding the series in a sense of reality that other polished reality shows often lacked. The show also leaned heavily into controversy. Fans debated whether TLC was exploiting the sisters' struggles or genuinely documenting a fight for survival. Internet commentary ranged from supportive encouragement to vicious mockery. And the sisters themselves clapped back on social media, often unfiltered and fiery. "Haters make me famous," Tammy once declared, a mantra that underscored both her defiance and the paradox of fame in the digital age. But beneath the drama, one thing remained clear. The Slatons were redefining what a reality TV family could look like. They were messy, flawed, hilarious, and sometimes heartbreaking, but they were real, and viewers connected to that reality. They saw in Amy and Tammy not just the spectacle of extreme weight, but the universal struggle of family, self-worth, and the desire to change. By 2025, 1,000 Pound Sisters had stretched into 7 seasons, cementing itself as one of TLC's most resilient franchises. The show had outlived skeptics, survived major cast shakeups, and evolved with the sisters' lives. It had witnessed Amy's rise as a mother, Tammy's near-death and remarkable recovery, Chris's comedic support, Amanda's fiery protection, Misty's quiet solidarity, and Britney's loyal presence. Along the way, it had also weathered legal scandals, tragic losses, and deeply personal transformations. Today, the Slatons stand not as caricatures, but as veterans of reality TV. Women and men who took their darkest struggles and turned them into a televised journey that millions followed. And while the road has been paved with controversy, heartbreak, and criticism, it has also been lined with victories, redemption, and unexpected joy. The Slaton family story has never been one of smooth sailing. From the moment cameras rolled in Kentucky, controversy shadowed the 1,000-pound sisters. And as the years passed, those controversies became both the curse and the lifeline of the show, fueling headlines, sparking debate, and cementing the Slatons as one of TLC's most polarizing families. Perhaps the most jarring scandal of recent memory came in September 2024, when Amy Slaton was arrested during a family outing at the Tennessee Safari Park. What began as an ordinary trip to see animals turned into a media firestorm when police reports alleged drug possession and child neglect. Amy, who had spent much of her reality TV career fighting to be taken seriously as a mother, suddenly found herself painted in the harshest of lights. Critics seized on the headlines, while fans waited anxiously to see whether the charges would spell the end of her TLC career. By December 2024, Amy reached a plea deal. The drug possession charge stuck, earning her 2 years of supervised probation, a fine of roughly $1,000, and a permanent ban from the safari park. But the child neglect charges, the most damaging to her reputation, were dismissed. That legal outcome was more than just a personal relief. It became a pivotal storyline for 1,000-pound sisters. In the months that followed, Season 7 promos leaned directly into the arrest, promising viewers an inside look at how the scandal shook the family. Tammy Slaton's controversies carried a different weight. For years, Tammy was branded the resistant sister, fighting doctors, clashing with family, and lashing out online at fans. Viewers alternated between frustration and sympathy as she cycled through rehab, denial, and hospital stays. The turning point came when her health hit rock bottom. She was placed in a medically induced coma after struggling to breathe. For many fans, it seemed Tammy would never recover. Yet, in a move that surprised everyone, she clawed her way back, undergoing bariatric surgery, losing hundreds of pounds, and silencing skeptics. But fame brought another layer of criticism. Tammy's interactions on social media often drew fire. She clapped back at trolls who mocked her appearance, famously declaring, "Haters make me famous." It was a line equal parts defiant and tragic, showing just how intertwined her identity had become with the harsh glare of online judgment. Even as she shed weight and transformed her body, Tammy remained the lightning rod of the series, the sister fans couldn't stop debating. The family's controversies extended beyond the sisters themselves. Arguments among siblings, often loud, fiery, and peppered with unforgettable one-liners, became viral moments. Amanda Halterman's sharp tongue made her a fan favorite, but it also highlighted the raw dysfunction at the heart of the family dynamic. Chris Combs, usually the comic relief, wasn't immune either. His own weight loss journey brought scrutiny, with viewers questioning whether he truly practiced what he preached. Every sibling who stepped into the TLC spotlight found themselves judged, dissected, and criticized. Public perception of the Slatons also stirred debate about TLC itself. Critics accused the network of exploiting the family's struggles for entertainment. Was 1,000-Pound Sisters an honest depiction of survival and transformation, or was it a modern-day sideshow? Advocates argued that by following Amy and Tammy through their darkest moments, the show shed light on the realities of obesity, food addiction, and poverty in rural America. Detractors claimed it invited mockery more than empathy. And caught in the middle were the sisters themselves, simultaneously victims of scrutiny and beneficiaries of fame. Yet it was precisely these controversies that kept 1,000-Pound Sisters alive. Scandal fueled curiosity. Legal troubles sparked headlines. Medical emergencies added suspense. And at every turn, the Slatons allowed the cameras to keep rolling. That decision, to live their most painful moments on screen, made their story impossible to ignore. By the time 2025 arrived, the sisters had weathered storms that might have ended other reality shows. Amy survived the fallout of her arrest and moved forward with the new engagement. Tammy emerged from near death with a body transformed and a heart ready for love again. Chris, Amanda, and Misty leaned into their roles as both family and cast, knowing that public life came with both fans and critics. The turning points were clear. Legal scandals tested reputations. Health crises threatened lives, and family arguments spilled into public view. Each controversy, no matter how damaging, became a thread in the tapestry of the Slaton saga. For better or worse, the sisters proved that resilience wasn't always pretty, but it was undeniably compelling. And so, as we turn to 2025, the controversies of the past still echo, shaping how each family member faces the present. But nowhere is that transformation more striking or more hard-won than in the life of Tammy Slaton herself. If Amy's journey has often been defined by motherhood and scandal, then Tammy's story has been nothing less than a battle for survival. For years, she carried the weight of her critics, her body, and her own self-doubt. Fans remember the Tammy of early seasons, stubborn, combative, and seemingly unwilling to change. Doctors warned her she was on the brink of losing her life. Family members pleaded for her to make a change. The internet mocked her, sometimes cruelly, turning her struggles into memes. And yet, against all odds, Tammy Slaton is still here in 2025. Her rebirth wasn't sudden. It was carved out through pain, loss, and perseverance. In 2023, tragedy struck when her husband, Caleb Willingham, whom she had met in rehab and married in a whirlwind of romance, passed away unexpectedly. That loss could have broken her completely. Instead, it became a catalyst. Tammy chose not to retreat into old habits, but to push forward. Viewers watched as she returned to her weight loss program, undergoing bariatric surgery that would transform her body and eventually her outlook on life. By the start of 2025, Tammy faced one of her most grueling challenges yet, an 8-hour skin removal surgery on January 18th. Years of extreme weight loss had left her with excess skin, a physical reminder of the body she once carried. Doctors removed over 15 pounds of tissue from her chin, arms, and stomach. For many, the thought of enduring such an operation would be terrifying. For Tammy, it was another step toward reclaiming her life. The surgery wasn't just about aesthetics. Excess skin can cause infections, mobility issues, and lingering health complications. Removing it marked a medical milestone as much as a cosmetic one. And true to her character, Tammy didn't shy away from showing the raw aftermath. On TikTok, she posted recovery photos. Her face swollen, her arms wrapped in heavy bandages, scars clearly visible. Fans praised her bravery for being transparent, while critics, as always, had their commentary. But Tammy, never once a shower, let the world see her journey unfiltered. The results were finally revealed during the June 10th, 2025 episode of 1,000 Pound Sisters. Cameras captured the moment the bandages came off, showing a visibly changed Tammy. Just days later, on June 12th, People magazine ran a feature on her transformation, offering before and after glimpses and detailing her rapid recovery. For viewers who had followed her near-death hospitalizations, the images were nothing short of shocking. Here was Tammy Slaton, once a woman gasping for air in a hospital bed, standing tall, lighter in body and spirit. But Tammy's rebirth wasn't only physical, it was emotional too. On the show's 7th season, airing in spring and summer 2025, Tammy revealed she was in a new relationship. And this time, it wasn't just any relationship. It was with a woman named Andrea Dalton. Fans were introduced to Andrea gradually, but the chemistry was undeniable. Tammy appeared lighter, happier, and more open than she had been in years. It was her first public romance since Caleb's passing, and it marked a profound new chapter in her story. Then came the surprise that made headlines. In June 2025, Tammy casually referred to Andrea as her fiancé. There was no dramatic on-camera proposal, no TLC special built around it. Instead, it slipped out during conversation, almost as if Tammy herself was still adjusting to the reality of it. For longtime fans, the news was both thrilling and poignant. After enduring so much loss, Tammy was allowing herself to love again. Of course, Tammy's life in 2025 hasn't been free of criticism. On August 21st, 2025, she appeared on the Creative Chaos podcast, revealing her new dental work, temporary bridges after years of struggling with missing teeth. It was another vulnerable step, one that drew its own wave of commentary. Some fans applauded her confidence, others used it as fuel for cruel jokes. But Tammy addressed the negativity directly, echoing her infamous mantra, "Haters make me famous." It was a reminder that even after all the surgeries, the loss, and the transformation, Tammy remains unapologetically herself. Her story is a study in contradiction. She has been both the hero and the villain of her own narrative. She has fought her family, fought her doctors, and fought herself. Yet in 2025, she stands as a survivor. Her rebirth is not simply measured in pounds lost or surgeries endured, but in the way she now presents herself to the world, with a mix of vulnerability, pride, and defiance. Tammy's journey also symbolizes something larger within the Thousand Pound Sisters' legacy. Her transformation defied the early perception that she would never change. For years, fans doubted she would make it past her 30s. Now she's embracing health, love, and even fame with a sense of ownership. Her engagement to Andrea Dalton, her openness about surgeries, and her willingness to confront critics head-on all suggest a woman determined not just to survive, but to thrive. In many ways, Tammy's arc mirrors the heart of the series itself. Messy, unpredictable, but undeniably compelling. She went from a patient on life support to a bride-to-be, from a woman mocked online to a symbol of resilience. And while controversy will always follow her, Tammy's rebirth in 2025 shows that she is no longer defined by her past. She is writing a new chapter, one scarred but stronger, one painful but promising. And as Tammy steps into this next phase of her life, all eyes remain on her. Because if the past has taught us anything, it's that Tammy Slaton will continue to shock, to inspire, and to remind the world that her story is far from over. If Tammy Slaton's story in 2025 is one of rebirth, then Amy Slaton's path is a whirlwind of contradictions, romance, resilience, and regret colliding under the public eye. Amy, the younger of the two headline sisters, has always carried herself with a childlike optimism, but her journey has been anything but simple. By 2025, her life tells a story of a woman navigating the highs of new love while still battling the shadows of scandal. Amy's rise to fame within 1000 LB Sisters was always tinged with a sense of urgency. More than weight loss, she longed to be a mother. Her earliest season centered on her determination to qualify for bariatric surgery so she could safely conceive. Against the odds, she did. By 2021, she gave birth to her first son, and 2 years later, she welcomed her second. For Amy, this was the dream realized, proof that she could break free of her past and step into a new role that defined her not by her weight, but by her children. But motherhood alone couldn't shield her from the storms that followed. Her marriage to Michael Halterman unraveled, and by 2023, the divorce was final. Custody battles over their two boys kept her tied to her ex-husband, even after the split. The show documented her frustration, her tears, and her determination to prove herself as a capable single mother. Yet just as she was carving out a new identity, Amy's world tilted again. In September 2024, during what should have been an ordinary day out, Amy was arrested at the Tennessee Safari Park. The charges were heavy: drug possession and child neglect. For fans who had watched her beam over her boys in countless episodes, the allegations struck hard. Headlines painted her as reckless, and critics wondered if fame had eroded her judgment. The legal system moved swiftly. By December 2024, Amy reached a plea deal. She pleaded guilty to drug possession, earning 2 years of supervised probation and a fine of roughly $1,000. The child neglect charges, the most damaging to her reputation, were dropped. Still, the consequences were tangible. She was banned from returning to the safari park, her name splashed across tabloids, her credibility as a mother questioned by strangers online. For a family already familiar with controversy, this was perhaps the hardest blow to Amy personally. But if Tammy's story in 2025 is one of rebirth, then Amy's path is a whirlwind of contradictions: romance, resilience, and regret colliding under the public eye. Amy, the younger of the two headline sisters, has always carried herself with a childlike optimism, but her journey has been anything but simple. By 2025, her life tells a story of a woman navigating the highs of new love while still battling the shadows of scandal. Amy's rise to fame within 1000 LB Sisters was always tinged with a sense of urgency. More than weight loss, she longed to be a mother. Her earliest season centered on her determination to qualify for bariatric surgery so she could safely conceive. Against the odds, she did. By 2021, she gave birth to her first son, and 2 years later, she welcomed her second. For Amy, this was the dream realized, proof that she could break free of her past and step into a new role that defined her not by her weight, but by her children. But motherhood alone couldn't shield her from the storms that followed. Her marriage to Michael Halterman unraveled, and by 2023, the divorce was final. Custody battles over their two boys kept her tied to her ex-husband, even after the split. The show documented her frustration, her tears, and her determination to prove herself as a capable single mother. Yet just as she was carving out a new identity, Amy's world tilted again. In September 2024, during what should have been an ordinary day out, Amy was arrested at the Tennessee Safari Park. The charges were heavy: drug possession and child neglect. For fans who had watched her beam over her boys in countless episodes, the allegations struck hard. Headlines painted her as reckless, and critics wondered if fame had eroded her judgment. The legal system moved swiftly. By December 2024, Amy reached a plea deal. She pleaded guilty to drug possession, earning 2 years of supervised probation and a fine of roughly $1,000. The child neglect charges, the most damaging to her reputation, were dropped. Still, the consequences were tangible. She was banned from returning to the safari park, her name splashed across tabloids, her credibility as a mother questioned by strangers online. For a family already familiar with controversy, this was perhaps the hardest blow to Amy personally. But if Tammy's story shows us anything, it's that the Slaton sisters rarely stay down for long. Just months later, Amy stunned fans with news of a new relationship. By late 2024, she was dating Brian Scott Lovewarn, a man whose presence brought laughter and stability back into her orbit. Where her marriage to Michael had become a battlefield, her bond with Brian seemed easy, playful, even joyous. And then came the moment that TLC cameras were all too eager to capture: May 13th, 2025. In the dim light of a haunted house, the kind of quirky setting only Amy would find romantic, Brian dropped to one knee. The proposal was dramatic, unexpected, and entirely fitting for a couple who thrived on humor and spontaneity. The very next day, May 14th, the episode aired, and millions of viewers watched Amy say yes. It was more than a televised stunt. It was a turning point. Just 5 months into their relationship, Amy was engaged again, this time with her sons firmly by her side. On social media, she posted photos of her new fiancé, summer outings with her boys, and snapshots of a life that seemed finally to be stabilizing. The glow on her face suggested a woman determined to move forward, even if the past still lingered in the shadows. Still, the contradictions remained. For every smiling photo with Brian, there was the reality of her probation. For every fan cheering her engagement, there were critics who hadn't forgotten the Safari Park arrest. On Reddit and forums, discussions swirled. Was Amy moving too fast? Could she balance a new relationship, probation, and the demands of single motherhood? The questions were valid, but Amy, true to form, didn't dwell on them publicly. She chose instead to present joy, laughter with her boys, smiles with Brian, and positivity for the camera. What makes Amy's 2025 arc so compelling is its duality. On one side, she is the romantic heroine, a woman who survived divorce and scandal only to find love again in spectacular reality TV fashion. On the other, she remains haunted by choices that threaten to unravel the very image she worked so hard to build. The haunted house proposal and the courtroom plea exist side by side in her story, and neither can be ignored. In the larger narrative of 1000 LB Sisters, Amy is the beating heart, impulsive, emotional, deeply human. Where Tammy's storyline is about defiance and survival, Amy's is about hope and resilience. She stumbles, she falls, but she gets back up with a smile that disarms even her harshest critics. In 2025, that resilience defines her. Her engagement to Brian Scott Lovewarn is more than a subplot. It is her declaration that life goes on, that even after headlines, probation, and custody disputes, she refuses to let her story be reduced to scandal. For viewers, it is both inspiring and troubling. Inspiring because it shows Amy's refusal to be beaten down. Troubling because it raises questions about whether her optimism sometimes blinds her to hard realities. But perhaps that is what makes Amy Slaton so magnetic. She is imperfect, relatable, and endlessly watchable. She embodies both the chaos and the charm of the 1000 LB Sisters saga. And as she walks into 2025 with the fiancé on her arm, her sons at her side, and probation paperwork still in her file, one truth becomes clear. Amy's story is far from finished. In the whirlwind of drama, legal trouble, surgeries, and social media storms, there has always been one figure in the 1,000-pound sisters universe who managed to keep both feet firmly on the ground: Chris Combs. As the older brother of Amy and Tammy, Chris has never been the star of the show in the same way his sisters are, but his role is just as essential. He is the anchor, the comic relief, and at times, the reluctant voice of reason in a family that thrives on chaos. From the moment Chris joined the series in its second season, viewers were drawn to his no-nonsense humor and relatable struggles. Like his sisters, Chris battled his weight for years, and his decision to join them on their journey resonated deeply with fans. And like the drama-heavy arcs of Amy and Tammy, Chris's storyline has always been steadier, marked by slow, consistent progress and a willingness to poke fun at himself. He is the sibling who can break tension with a perfectly timed joke, yet still deliver the tough love his sisters often need. In 2025, Chris's journey continues to intertwine with Tammy's. During the early months of the year, as Tammy prepared for her skin removal surgery, Chris was right there, not only offering encouragement, but also dealing with his own health milestones. Season 7 of 1,000 Pound Sisters showed him tracking his progress, discussing surgery outcomes, and even sharing his concerns about Tammy's recovery. His ability to frame serious topics with a touch of humor gave fans a much-needed break from the heavier storylines. Chris also stepped into the promotional spotlight in April 2025 when he broke a long silence on social media to post about the Season 7 premiere. It was a small moment, but it confirmed what fans suspected. Chris isn't just a supporting character, he's fully invested in the family's reality TV journey. His presence at fan events alongside his wife Brittany further reinforced his growing popularity within the fandom. And Brittany's presence can't be overlooked. Together, Chris and Brittany often appear at meet and greets, sharing their own weight loss updates and engaging with viewers who have followed the Slatons for years. Fans see in them something different from the chaos that surrounds Amy and Tammy. A couple grounded, stable, and quietly inspiring. In many ways, Chris represents what life after transformation can look like when the cameras turn off. Not glamorous, not scandalous, but real. Still, Chris isn't immune to criticism. Some fans have questioned whether his own weight loss progress has plateaued or whether he's as committed as his sisters. Others argue that TLC sometimes sidelines his story in favor of the more dramatic arcs. But even so, Chris remains a fan favorite. His authenticity, the willingness to laugh at himself, to call out his sisters when they're spiraling, and to admit when he's struggling, makes him relatable in a way that anchors the entire show. In the larger tapestry of 1,000-Pound Sisters, Chris is the brother in the middle. Not the focus of the most sensational headlines, but the glue that holds the family's narrative together. In 2025, as Tammy celebrates a new engagement and Amy prepares for marriage once again, Chris is there in the background, cracking jokes, lending support, and reminding everyone that sometimes the most important role isn't center stage, but steadying the entire cast from the sidelines. Chris Combs may not be the sister in the spotlight, but his story proves something just as powerful. Transformation isn't always about the loudest battles. Sometimes it's about quiet persistence, humor in the face of hardship, and showing up for the people who need you most. Every reality TV family has that one person who refuses to sugarcoat, who says exactly what everyone else is too afraid to voice. In the 1,000-Pound Sisters world, that role belongs to Amanda Halterman. Fierce, outspoken, and armed with a razor-sharp wit, Amanda quickly became a breakout star after joining the show in later seasons. Where Amy often wears her heart on her sleeve and Tammy battles her inner demons in full public view, Amanda delivers blunt honesty, sometimes harsh, often hilarious, and always unforgettable. From the moment she appeared, she was cast as both protector and provocateur. She stood by Amy during her divorce, grilled Tammy over her health choices, and wasn't afraid to confront outsiders who disrespected her family. Her fiery comebacks became meme-worthy moments, and fans embraced her as the sister who brought balance to the Slaton chaos. Amanda didn't tiptoe around dysfunction. She called it out, and in so doing, gave voice to what many viewers were already thinking. In 2025, Amanda's presence has continued to evolve. One of her most notable updates came in March, when she posted photos showing off her slimmer figure. The images sparked an outpouring of support from fans who had followed her own health journey. Unlike Tammy and Amy, Amanda's weight loss storyline hasn't always been center stage, but her transformation remains significant. The photos symbolized not only her progress, but also her consistency, a reminder that she too is part of the broader Slaton narrative of change. Her social media activity has also kept fans engaged throughout the year. Amanda frequently shares reels, candid snapshots, and promotional posts, often alongside Amy and Misty. She has leaned into her public persona, appearing at fan meet and greets and connecting with viewers in ways that extend beyond TLC's cameras. For fans, Amanda offers a mix of relatability and star power. She's someone who can laugh with you one moment and put you in your place the next. What makes Amanda particularly compelling is her duality. On screen, she is the bold sister who won't let anyone walk over her, but in quieter moments, she reveals her role as the family's defender. Whether it's supporting Tammy through her recovery or standing by Amy in the aftermath of her legal troubles, Amanda shows that her tough exterior hides a deep loyalty. Her presence in 2025 underscores that balance. She may be blunt, but her love for her siblings runs deep. Critics might argue that Amanda thrives on conflict, that her fiery personality sometimes fuels the very drama she claims to control. But fans know better. She is not just part of the noise, she's the sister who ensures the family doesn't spiral without accountability. And in a household where tension often boils over, her fearless honesty has become a necessary ingredient. As 1,000-Pound Sisters continues into its seventh season, Amanda's role is cemented. She is not the center of every scandal nor the headline maker like Amy and Tammy, but she is the voice of bold truth. The reminder that behind the laughter and tears lies a family that still needs someone to hold them together. In 2025, Amanda Halterman stands as the bold sister who refuses to fade into the background. She's lost weight, gained confidence, and doubled down on being exactly who she has always been: unapologetically outspoken, fiercely loyal, and impossible to ignore. In a family as loud and unpredictable as the Slatons, it's easy for quieter voices to be drowned out. Yet, over time, fans of 1,000-Pound Sisters have come to appreciate Misty Slaton Wentworth precisely because she is the opposite of her bolder siblings. Where Amanda fires off one-liners and Tammy dominates headlines, Misty takes a steadier path, one marked by calm support, behind-the-scenes reliability, and subtle but meaningful presence. From her earliest appearances, Misty carried herself with a reserved demeanor. She wasn't the one shouting across the room during family arguments, nor the one driving the show's biggest controversies. Instead, she showed up when her sisters needed her most, offering a balance to the louder personalities around her. In many ways, Misty has been the quiet backbone of the Slaton family narrative, less flashy, less dramatic, but no less essential. That quiet presence continued into 2025, when Misty stepped further into the public spotlight through fan events. In July and August, she joined Amy for a series of meet and greets in Bardstown, Kentucky, including an appearance at the Jailer's Inn. These events weren't headline-making controversies, but they mattered. They showed Misty as part of the family unit, actively engaging with supporters. Fans who met her often remarked on her warmth, her willingness to chat, and her down-to-earth attitude that matched what viewers had seen on screen. On social media, Misty has also embraced more visibility. She frequently appears in promotional posts with Amy and Amanda, building a sense of solidarity among the sisters. For longtime fans, these appearances signal something important: that despite the chaos swirling around Tammy and Amy, the broader family circle remains intact. Misty's involvement reflects not only loyalty to her siblings, but also an understanding that the Slaton story is bigger than just the two stars of the show. Misty's importance lies in what she represents. She is proof that family support doesn't always have to be loud to be effective. Her quiet participation at meet and greets, her consistent presence in promotional material, and her steady appearances alongside Amy in 2025 show that she is invested in keeping the family united in the eyes of fans. In a franchise where drama often overshadows everything else, Misty's grounded nature provides a rare sense of balance. She may not generate the same kind of headlines as her sisters, but Misty Slaton Wentworth plays a crucial role in the family dynamic. She is the quiet but constant reminder that the Slaton family isn't just about spectacle. It's about showing up, even without fanfare. And in 2025, Misty proves that sometimes the most powerful statement a person can make is simply being present. Every great supporting character has a partner who helps them shine. And in the case of Chris Combs, that partner is his wife, Brittany Combs. While Brittany has never sought the spotlight in the way her sisters-in-law have, her presence has become an integral part of the 1,000-Pound Sisters universe. She is the quiet support at Chris's side, the steady hand during family chaos, and increasingly a familiar face to fans who follow the Slatons' journey. Britney's story doesn't revolve around headline-grabbing drama or explosive confrontations. Instead, she has built her place in the narrative through consistency. Over the years, viewers have seen her not only cheer on Chris's weight loss journey, but also embark on her own path toward healthier living. In 2025, that effort has become more visible. Social media posts and fan coverage highlighted Britney's transformation, noting that she too has shed weight and embraced a healthier lifestyle. For many fans, her progress represents a parallel to Chris's, a couple working side by side toward shared goals. Her involvement goes beyond personal transformation. Britney regularly appears with Chris at fan meet and greets, mingling with supporters and sharing in the family's public persona. These appearances may seem small, but they signal something deeper, that Britney is as much a part of the 1,000-pound sisters family as any blood relative. Fans often remark on her warm, approachable demeanor, contrasting with the more fiery personalities in the wider Slaton clan. What makes Britney's role significant is precisely this quiet stability. In a family dominated by headline controversies, Amy's legal troubles, Tammy's near-death scares, Amanda's fiery outbursts, Britney represents calm. She doesn't need to be the center of attention. She simply shows up, supports her husband, and contributes to the sense of unity that keeps the show moving forward. In 2025, Britney Combs stands as a reminder that the Slaton story isn't only about spectacle. It's also about the partners who remain steadfast in the background, helping the family weather the storms. And while she may never dominate an episode, her presence ensures that Chris's journey, and by extension, the family story, is never walked alone. In the Slaton saga, few figures have been as quietly complicated as Michael Halterman, Amy's ex-husband. Unlike his former wife, Michael never seemed fully comfortable under the glare of TLC's cameras. Where Amy leaned into the chaos of reality television, Michael often faded into the background, quiet, reserved, and hesitant to engage. Yet his role in Amy's story, and by extension, 1000 LB Sisters, cannot be overlooked. For years, Michael was portrayed as the steady partner, the one who stood by Amy as she underwent weight loss surgery and achieved her dream of motherhood. Together, they welcomed 2 sons, marking some of the happiest moments in the show's history. But the cracks in their marriage eventually surfaced. By 2023, Amy and Michael's relationship had unraveled, ending in divorce. Custody of their boys became the central issue, with arrangements dividing their time between households. By 2025, Michael is largely absent from the public narrative. He doesn't appear at fan events, avoids social media, and has retreated from the spotlight that still engulfs Amy. Yet his presence lingers indirectly. References to shared custody appear in the show, particularly as Amy's legal troubles from late 2024 reshaped the dynamics of parenting. While Michael hasn't spoken publicly, the context is clear. He remains tied to Amy through their children, even as their lives move in separate directions. What makes Michael's role notable is not what he does on screen, but what he doesn't. In a family defined by loud personalities and public drama, Michael embodies absence, a reminder that some choose distance over participation. For Amy, his absence has been both a challenge and an opportunity. A challenge in navigating single motherhood, but also an opportunity to redefine herself without the shadow of a strained marriage. In the larger 1000 LB Sisters tapestry, Michael Halterman is the absent ex, not a villain, not a star, but a figure whose quiet retreat underscores just how much Amy has had to carry on her own. And in 2025, that absence speaks louder than any on-screen argument ever could. If there's one constant in the 1,000-pound sisters universe, it's that family is both the glue and the dynamite. In 2025, the Slaton family continues to embody that paradox. Their relationships are tangled with loyalty and love, but just as often strained by scandal, criticism, and the unrelenting spotlight of reality television. What makes the series so captivating isn't just the sisters' personal journeys, but how those journeys collide and overlap, forcing the family to either pull closer together or threaten to pull apart. At the center of these dynamics are Amy and Tammy, the beating heart of the show. Both sisters stand at life-changing crossroads. Amy, newly engaged to Brian Scott Loverin, Tammy, newly engaged to Andrea Dalton. Their engagements, announced within weeks of each other in 2025, reshaped family conversations and fan chatter alike. Suddenly, the two sisters who began their journey united by health struggles were being celebrated for entirely new beginnings, one in the glow of motherhood and redemption, the other in the glow of transformation and newfound love. Yet, even as they celebrate, their bond remains complicated. For years, Amy and Tammy's relationship has swung between fierce loyalty and bitter conflict. In 2025, the tension has softened. Tammy's physical recovery and emotional openness appear to have brought her closer to her family. Amy, despite her legal troubles the year before, continues to rely on Tammy for emotional support. Fans have noted that their interactions feel less combative and more collaborative, a sign that the sisters may finally be entering a calmer phase of their long, turbulent bond. The extended siblings also shape the family picture. Chris, with his humor and steadying presence, remains the bridge between clashing personalities. Amanda continues to play the bold defender, stepping in when the sisters are at risk of spiraling. Misty, quiet but reliable, shows up for public meet and greets, embodying the quieter side of family loyalty. Brittany, Chris's wife, provides a grounded calm, while Amy's ex-husband Michael represents absence, a reminder of how fractured relationships still echo in the background. Together, this constellation of siblings, spouses, and exes creates a dynamic that feels both fragile and enduring. One of the most striking elements of the Slaton family in 2025 is their public unity. Despite the chaos of Amy's 2024 arrest and Tammy's near-death struggles in earlier years, the siblings have rallied for fan events, posting together on social media, and even appearing as a united front on TLC. Meet and greets in Kentucky, group reels, and joint promotions have presented the family as a cohesive unit, even if the reality behind closed doors is more complicated. That unity isn't just personal, it's strategic. In many ways, the Slatons understand that their collective brand is stronger when they appear together, even if disagreements linger beneath the surface. Still, cracks remain. Amy's legal history looms over her narrative, shaping how outsiders view her parenting and her choices. Tammy's resilience is celebrated, but she continues to face harsh online criticism, particularly whenever she shares updates about her body or her dental work. Amanda's sharp tongue is loved by fans, but her bluntness can cause friction within the family. These underlying tensions remind viewers that while unity is the image, conflict is never far behind. For TLC, the family dynamics are a goldmine. The network leans into both the unity and the conflict, crafting storylines where Amy's legal redemption arcs bump against Tammy's health triumphs, and Amanda's sharp tongue balances Misty's quiet support. In Season 7, these dynamics are front and center. The family's ability to show up for each other while still bickering in true Slaton fashion keeps audiences hooked. In 2025, the Slaton family dynamic can best be described as resilient chaos. They may argue, stumble, and draw criticism from every corner of the internet, but they also show up for each other, for fans, and for the cameras. Their unity isn't perfect, but it's real. And that balance, love stitched together with conflict, is what keeps the 1,000-Pound Sisters story alive. When 1,000-Pound Sisters first premiered in 2020, few could have predicted it would still be thriving 5 years later. Reality television is a genre that chews up and spits out families quickly, often turning them into fleeting spectacles before moving on to the next trend. And yet, Against the odds, the Slaton family not only survived, but became one of TLC's most enduring brands. By 2025, the show had reached its 7th season, a milestone that places it alongside other network staples like Sister Wives and My 600-Pound Life. Its legacy is one of grit, spectacle, and above all, transformation. The show's impact can't be understood without looking at its cultural resonance. 1,000-Pound Sisters didn't just follow weight loss journeys, it exposed the messy realities of poverty, food addiction, health crisis, and family dysfunction in rural America. At times, critics accused TLC of exploitation, framing the series as voyeurism packaged as entertainment. But for many fans, the Slatons represented something far deeper: unpolished authenticity. They laughed, they cried, they fought, and they survived, all in front of millions. In 2025, the sisters' current arcs embody the full circle of that legacy. Tammy Slaton, once written off as doomed, is now engaged to Andrea Dalton, showcasing not only a profound personal transformation, but also resilience against tragedy after the loss of her husband Caleb. Her dramatic health recovery and skin removal surgery became one of the most powerful redemption arcs in TLC's history. Meanwhile, Amy Slaton, once defined by her dream of motherhood, is reemerging as a woman navigating scandal, probation, and new love. Her haunted house proposal to Brian Scott Loveorn gave viewers a moment of levity and romance, even as her legal troubles from late 2024 remained part of the narrative. The supporting cast has cemented the family's multidimensional legacy. Chris Combs represents persistence and humor, showing audiences that transformation doesn't always require theatrics. Sometimes it's about slow, steady progress. Amanda Halterman embodies defiance, proving that blunt honesty resonates just as much as vulnerability. Misty, Slaton, Wentworth, and Brittany Combs offer quieter but meaningful portrayals of loyalty, reminding fans that not every family member has to be at the center of chaos to matter. Even Michael Halterman, by his absence, reinforces the idea that not all family members are built for fame, but their influence still shapes the story. Looking forward, the future of 1,000-Pound Sisters feels both unpredictable and secure. On one hand, TLC thrives on renewal as long as storylines remain compelling. With 2 engagements in 2025, fans are already speculating about televised weddings, honeymoon specials, or even spin-offs. Tammy's journey with Andrea promises a new chapter of love and perhaps motherhood. Amy's second engagement, juxtaposed with her probation, sets the stage for either redemption or relapse, a narrative tension that TLC will undoubtedly lean into. But there are risks. The family's controversies could eventually overshadow their triumphs. Critics continue to question whether the show encourages voyeurism rather than empathy. And as with all reality franchises, there is the looming question of whether the Slaton story can sustain viewer interest for another 5 years. Yet, history suggests the answer is yes. Each time the show seemed to reach a breaking point, Tammy's hospitalizations, Amy's arrest, family arguments, it reinvented itself, finding new ways to pull audiences back in. The legacy of 1,000-Pound Sisters is ultimately a legacy of survival. The sisters were introduced to the world at their lowest point, both physically and emotionally. They were mocked, doubted, and dismissed. But by 2025, they have flipped that narrative into one of endurance. Tammy is alive when many believed she wouldn't be. Amy is a mother and fiancé despite legal and personal battles. Their siblings stand beside them, flawed but steadfast. For viewers, the show has become more than entertainment. It is a study in resilience, the messy reality of family, and the human instinct to keep going even when the world says you can't. And that might be why the future of 1,000-Pound Sisters feels secure. As long as the Slatons continue to live their lives on camera with the same messy honesty that made them famous, fans will keep watching. Because the truth is simple. Their story isn't just about weight. It's about survival, reinvention,
and the complicated legacy of family.
From viral YouTube clips to TLC's primetime lineup, the Slaton family has traveled a road few could have imagined. They began their story as two sisters weighed down by circumstance and self-doubt, mocked as much as they were celebrated. 5 years later, in 2025, their journey stands as a testament to both the chaos and the resilience of family. We've seen Tammy fight her way back from the brink of death, undergo life-altering surgeries, and find love again in a surprise engagement. We've watched Amy stumble through scandal and probation, only to embrace romance once more with her haunted house proposal. Around them, siblings like Chris, Amanda, Misty, and Brittany have filled the gaps with humor, blunt honesty, and steadfast loyalty. Even absences, like that of Michael Halterman, remind us that family stories are never neat, never simple. The Slaton saga is raw, messy, sometimes uncomfortable, and yet that's exactly what makes it unforgettable. Their legacy is not perfection, but persistence, the refusal to let tragedy or criticism define them. As we look ahead, one thing is certain: their story is far from over. New marriages, new struggles, new triumphs await. And if history has taught us anything, it's that the Slatons will continue to surprise us all. So what do you think lies ahead for the 1000 LB sisters? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you've been following their journey, subscribe for more deep dives, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. This is the Fame Channel, and the story continues.